Ladies and gentlemen, I believe the next session could set the tone for the future of entrepreneurial development in South Africa. My name is Alexander McLeod, and I've been tasked with providing some opening remarks for this important panel discussion. I thank you all for this opportunity. I'd like to start though by quoting two statements. Statement one: entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life living like most people can't. End quote. Statement two: I believe anything is possible. I see opportunity when others see impossibility. I take risks. I'm focused. I hustle. I know that nothing is unrealistic. I feel overwhelming love. I embrace my childlike wonder and curiosity. I take flying leaps into the unknown. I contribute to something bigger than myself. I create, I learn, I grow. I believe it's never too late to stop living a dream. I'm an entrepreneur. End quote. These are the two opening statements I present to all of the high school learners who have participated in the school entrepreneurship initiatives I've been fortunate enough to have implemented over the past 4 years. Who are the authors? I don't know. All I know is that there are two brilliant statements, and ones that I will continue to present to high school learners at the outset of any school entrepreneurship initiative I create and roll out. They talk about being an entrepreneur. Being. This is an important word, as it really refers to who you are as a person, in your mind, in your heart, and in your soul. Being an entrepreneur is not about the money, not about the private or public company, not about the AAA grade office space. For none of this would be achieved if you did not exhibit those intrinsic entrepreneurial traits and behaviors. The phrase being an entrepreneur really has no material connotations. Being an entrepreneur really is a way of life. Being an entrepreneur is about being self-sufficient. Do you remember many years ago when you were in primary school, you were asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some of the more traditional answers were, I want to be a fireman, a pilot, a doctor, or even a professional sports person. Why do you think these young learners gave these answers? In my opinion, because these vocations, among others, were seen to provide job security. So I put this to you. Can the question to this answer be, I want to be an entrepreneur? I'll get back to this a bit later. Have you ever asked an entrepreneur when they started engaging in entrepreneurial activity? To the entrepreneurs among us today, how old were you when you first engaged in entrepreneurial activity? I can tell you, from experience and all the reading I've done, that the answer to this question is that they started engaging in such activity at school-going age. 13, 10, 11, 15, 17. Think about this for a moment. If established entrepreneurs started engaging in entrepreneurial activity when they were still of school-going age, why are we, as a country, not ensuring that there are effective entrepreneurship development initiatives in place for school learners? Once-off grade 7 market days and entrepreneurship as a focus area in the subject EMS are not enough, unfortunately. How about the establishment of an entrepreneurship development pipeline? A topic that a fellow trustee and I discuss on a regular basis. Now, I love football. I'm the under-21 and backline coach at UCT Rugby Club, but football is my first love. I know that's a bit strange. I wrote an article once titled Barcelona Football Club and Entrepreneurship. For the record, I never walk alone. So you all know Barcelona Football Club, arguably one of the greatest clubs in football history. Have you by any chance taken the time to see why they have been, still are, and will continue to be a great football club? I'll tell you why. They have a development pipeline in place. From the age of 5 or 6, when young aspiring footballers are trained, groomed, and molded into professional football players, they are shown the Barcelona way. It becomes part of who they are as footballers. By the time they reach the senior ranks, the necessary behavior for succeeding is ingrained in them. In fact, ask any professional sports person, and they will tell you that they have been working at it since single-digit age. Being a professional sports person is a way of life. So if we have these sorts of development structures in place in sport, why can we not have an entrepreneurship development pipeline? The focus here will be on fostering entrepreneurial thinking and initiating entrepreneurial activity among school learners. That's the strapline for what I do. The initiatives I create focus on entrepreneurship advocacy and creating entrepreneurs. Have there been success stories? Yes, they have. In 2013, a grade 11 learner took 6 weeks to get a business off the ground. 3.5 months later, she generated sales of 14,500 Rand on completing our program. This is just one of the many success stories. The success of this program made me realize that I need to make access to these initiatives I create available to learners from high schools in impoverished communities who may not necessarily have the means to afford the costs. As a result, in March 2012, along with 2 fellow trustees, I set up the School Entrepreneurship Trust, a public benefit organization. Through the trust, we have run 2 school entrepreneurship conferences, the first in South Africa, with each conference accommodating 100 learners from high schools in impoverished communities. Both were hosted by the University of Cape Town and focused primarily on entrepreneurship advocacy. On the back of the success of these conferences, the Trust has now entered into a partnership with UCT. Together, we will be launching a School Entrepreneurship Olympiad. The aim, to find the top entrepreneurially minded school learners in South Africa. We have also engaged with Rhodes University, who are our implementation partners in the Eastern Cape. And so we will look to strike up relationships with tertiary institutions in all provinces who will partner with us in making this Olympiad a reality. The Trust has a vision to be the premier school entrepreneurship development organization globally. Leadership is about having a vision and then putting the necessary building blocks in place to achieve the vision. We have already laid our foundation. So back to this entrepreneurship development pipeline concept I proposed earlier. I believe it can be developed. It must serve 2 purposes: entrepreneurship advocacy and creating entrepreneurs. Can you create entrepreneurs? Of course you can. I do on my school entrepreneurship program. The first purpose, entrepreneurship advocacy, is exactly what it says. Advocating the fact that being an entrepreneur can be a viable and sustainable career option. A large emphasis will be placed on exposure to what it means to be an entrepreneur. On the program that I run for high school learners, the guest speaker sessions allow learners to engage with established entrepreneurs. They get to hear the real life stories, the blood, the sweat, and the tears of growing your business and turning a profit. These stories must be told by entrepreneurs, not teachers or employees or volunteers of non-profits, for they, more than likely, cannot speak from experience. The guest speakers also serve, more importantly, as role models. In addition to the guest speaker series, we visit big business. We've been to Deloitte, Investec, and Vodacom, to name but a few. The primary purpose of these corporate site visits is for the learners to be told the history of that organization, so that they can see that many, many years ago, that organization was started by an individual. In other words, an entrepreneur. As you can see, the element of entrepreneurship advocacy comes through once again. Nearly done, Jeremy. The second purpose of this pipeline, creating entrepreneurs, is also exactly what it says. This is where action learning is key. The practical component of my program allows learners to experience firsthand what is required to start up and run their own micro-enterprise. They have access to me and my network for any assistance that they require. The primary goal of this EDP is to create a movement among school learners. The first step in the pipeline is creating and developing entrepreneurs at school level. This is where we can change mindsets. This is where we can get learners to believe in and practice a way of life. We can create an entrepreneurs movement. If you ask young children what they want to be when they grow up, some answers should be, I want to be an entrepreneur. As an aside, for the young aspiring entrepreneurs that I've engaged with over the years, a key learning is that there are 3 pillars that need to be in place for your enterprise to run professionally and efficiently. They are technology, communication, and banking. From this, you can see that my initiatives also have the potential to contribute to the triple bottom line of business. This, though, is a discussion I'd like to have in your boardrooms. I'd like to end off by saying, creating a culture of entrepreneurship in South Africa is not a do-good thing. It is an enterprise development intervention. My initiatives develop enterprises, develop entrepreneurs. At the age of 16, teenagers can be employed within the law. Why not get these teenagers to start up and run their own businesses that generate revenue and potentially pay tax? Mr. Gordon would be happy. And create employment for one other person if possible. Creating a culture of entrepreneurship is both an economic and enterprise development effort. And all of us sitting here today can certainly play a role in the advocacy thereof. I thank you. I'm looking forward to this panel discussion.